the stiff truth.
I mean, we're talking less than a day old.
So did you see this? A fartpreneur, a noun, creating active revenue streams from one's flatulence.
Please just start the show. We can talk about it. We'll get in there. You ready?
I'm ready. I believe it's your turn.
I think it is, but we're just going to start it off here. All right. So let me make sure I got my timer out. Check my okay. I'm gay as all get up. Perfect.
Calm down.
Goose Fraba. Throbbing veiny members. Veiny members. All right. Welcome to the Stiff Truth, everybody. Oh my God. It's exciting to be back with you, Bob West, my buddy over here. You look great today, and you look calm, relaxed, and ready to rock and roll. And that's one thing I love about you, man. Can you believe here? We haven't talked about this in a while, but this is episode 96 coming at you. What do you think about that, Bobby?
That's a lot of episodes, Scotty.
That is. Hey, you know what? I can always count on you for colorful, deep, riveting commentary. So I appreciate that, Bob. But seriously, how the hell are we doing today? You doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I've got these two great drinks going here.
Oh, look at that. All right. Yeah, and I think that's the first thing we got to talk about, guy, because we can get into all these other things. And we actually got some really good content, some good conversation here. I'd say some of it's lighthearted, some of it's a little more serious, but it's relevant, and it's what we do here on the Stiff Truth. But like what we always do on the Stiff Truth, before we can even open our mouths and have any kind of conversation, we've got to get some kind of alcohol in our body. What do you got there?
Well, I've got not one, but two crazy broads.
Hey, you know what? Same here, guy. Look at that. All right, getting in there. One's a little bit more emptier than the other. You know what I mean? That's how it is sometimes.
Had some technical difficulties. It took me a minute to get going here, so we made it mostly through the first drink already. So,
hey. Again, just getting warmed up for the show. We got to pregame a little bit here. We got to get prepared, and I like that. But Bob, let's talk about this drink. Now, obviously, for some of the content we have today and some of the topics here, it's very relevant here, and it makes sense that we're having a crazy broad because we're going to be talking about a couple of them. One of them actually using her crazy broadness to her advantage, we'll say. And the other one, maybe it backfired on her. Well, no, not maybe. It definitely backfired on her. But these drinks, on the other hand, I'll tell you what, here it is early June, and I'm thinking this is a perfect summertime drink. Am I wrong here, or what do you think?
No, you're right. It's a good one. It's fun. It's different as far as the boozes that are in there. So that's interesting. You know, I never thought of pairing amaretto and SoCo with vodka for anything. So it's interesting to run across this drink. Top it off with a little bit of cranberry juice and ginger ale, and boom, bam, you got a crazy broad.
And just to go over that, what you had done beautifully there with a fine tooth comb, in case, you know, there's got to be some stiffies there that are like on the edge of their seats right now. I was like, yeah, but like, what are the proportions, Bob? What happened here? Pretty simple stuff here. Get a tall glass. We got the highball glasses. Fill that bitch with ice all the way. And then 1 ounce of each of amaretto, of vodka, and of Southern Comfort. And then what you'll probably have if you're using a highball glass is maybe like a little bit of room there to do a couple of splashes of cranberry juice and a couple of splashes of ginger ale. And this to me and Bob seemed foreign and strange, but it says no shaking. There's no Michael J. Foxing to this drink. There's no stirring apparently to this drink, but we did throw our bar spoon in there and give it a little what's up. And it comes out looking like you said, like a nice white Zinfandel kind of deal, right? It's got a pretty color.
It definitely has a white Zin color to it. It looks like a real fruitcake drink to drink. But
right up Bob's alley.
It tastes great.
It really does.
It's strong enough. You know, the booze that's all in there is pretty legit strength booze. So, I mean, 3 ounces of anything in a single drink is good as long as it's real booze. So So no, I'd say this is a 2 thumbs up in my book. Crazy Broad. We got it and we laughed at the name, but then we actually looked at it. We're like, hey, that actually sounds pretty good. Let's do some Crazy Broads.
Seriously. And you know what? I would almost alter the preparation of this drink a little bit now that I've had one, almost completed with one. Tell me what you think about this. But add the 3 parts of the booze, right? Add the cranberry juice, all that with ice to a shaker. Shake that bitch like who? That's
MJ.
right.
MJF, baby.
That's right. And then strain it into a highball glass full of ice and then top it off with what's left with a little bit of ginger ale, since that's carbonated. And I think we'd have a more well-rounded, just everything kind of, just meshing more evenly, because what we have here is we have the unfortunate reality of most of the booze settling at the bottom, which initially when we had the drinks when we were preparing, I was like, I could barely taste the booze in there. But that's because I was primarily drinking cranberry juice mixed with ginger ale. And then about halfway through, I was like, oh, okay, there's
there
the
it
booze.
is.
There's the booze. So that would be my only correction, I guess I would say, with how I would do it. But again, just so everybody knows, go get you one of these. These are fabulous. This is where we get about, we'll say about 85% of our drinks. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
Bartender Black Book.
Yeah.
And just for all people in podcast land, that is the 10th edition of the Bartender Black Book.
Not the 11th.
No, and I sleep with it under my pillow. Bob, it's actually his
I sleep with
bathroom.
it under Scott's pillow too.
Oh my goodness. Well, Bobby, hey man, I think we're gonna get right into talking about some crazy broads. What do you think, bud? Does that sound good to you?
At least one. And I don't even feel bad for saying it.
Get in there.
Amber Heard, Johnny Depp.
I believe it's pronounced Turd.
Amber Turd.
Now it is. That's her new name.
So just kind of the thoughts on the trial and the situation in general. I understand what went down here from Johnny Depp's side, right? She gives or she writes an op-ed, basically just trying to victimize herself. Like, look at me, I'm a victim of domestic abuse, right?
Look at me, I'm a crazy broad. Shit in the bed.
All right, and so obviously that's she's talking about Johnny Depp from the timeline and everything in the thing. So in the op-ed, so then Johnny Depp's business partners essentially all say, hey, you've been painted as a wife beater, we're going to cut ties with you on this movie. And it cost him tens of millions of dollars. Two of his biggest movies, right?
Later Disney, later Pirates, right?
Yeah. And so he lost Harry Potter and he lost Pirates, so that's a lot of cash, right? And he was one of the coolest Harry Potter characters, in all of the series. So that was pretty disconcerting, right? So he's like, I'm going to sue this chick for at least most of the money that I would have lost for those films because of this. Fair enough. That's literally what libel and defamation is, right? She's harmed another person, take it to tort law, all this other stuff. Yeah, nuances of the case. So anyway, not going to get into that because we've done it in the show. So he takes it there. Instead of her just like settling, he's like, hey, I don't want everyone to find out I fucking shit on your bed.
Yeah.
It's pretty embarrassing. They're gonna like pull up pictures of like James Franco and me in the elevator like the night you left to go film a film. You know what I mean? It's like she didn't care about any of that, or was she crazy enough to think that, well, no one will believe him because of why? Why would no one believe him? That's the thing. The narcissistic, disassociative behavior that Amber Heard had going into this, to even let this get to trial, shows a lot. But then to have it all come out, I saw an article today that actually said that Amber Heard has indeed been cut out of Aquaman 2. Like 100%. Coming down from the studio, the decision was made. So I'm interested to see what that's all about and what that's like. Are they going to have to go CGI some stuff? They're going to get another actress to just kind of replace those scenes. I don't know.
Dude, it's Aquaman. Let me just step in there real quick. This is not like The Godfather Part 4 or something like that. Just replace her with another hot chick. I mean, honestly, it's not gonna. I don't think any super fans of Aquaman 1 are gonna have a heart attack about it. I think it's gonna be okay. That's just my personal opinion. But I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I haven't even seen the first Aquaman.
It made $1 billion in theater. So it's one of those movies, right? Like some of the top 10 grossing films of all time, kind of a movie. So I can understand for the franchise sake why they wouldn't want Miss Turd in the movie.
Yes,
you know,
I do.
It's kind of some bad association there, but but anyway, so they went through all of their shit. We all got into this sleazy soap opera story, and a lot of it's kind of, I don't know anyone that watched the trial live, but all of us were watching the TikToks like the day of or the day after, right? Hearing all the nasty stories and the bullshit and the just the crazy characters. I swear they Amber Heard's team brought a doctor in that was like high on meth or something. It was crazy.
He was all fucking around with his mouth and all, just going nutty. Yeah. Honestly, this is one of those things though, Bob. This is what money can buy and what money can't buy when you look at the two legal teams for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. You know what I mean?
Objection.
Like, seriously. Yeah, dude. Camille Vasquez, his attorney, junkyard dog, ridiculous. Like she's probably going to be getting so many cases right now. She's going to be getting like recruiters on LinkedIn like hitting her up, kind of style like that you and I would get. I mean, she was boss, but yeah, I mean her entire team just seemed kind of Mickey Mouse organization about the whole idea, which is interesting because she still has millions of dollars, I think, allegedly. I'm not quite sure what she's done with all that money, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think in general, some cocaine, you think so?
I think so. I think it's pretty clear.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it's one of those things, and we talked about this before on the show. I think the trial was tough for both of their images. But I mean, and here's the other thing. Johnny Depp has been like a household name for like what? 35 years?
My whole life. Yeah,
seriously.
Starting off with Nightmare on Elm Street and 21 Jump Street, and Johnny Depp has been one of the main actors, like literally my whole fucking life.
And he's admired, like very endeared, like heartthrob for multiple decades or whatever.
So while you're on that path, I read an article yesterday that said he scored the first film since the trial ended and the verdict was announced. He is going to be the new Beetlejuice.
Oh, I love that. And now this makes sense too. Oh, and talk about like already in character pretty much. You know what I mean? Like Jesus Christ.
No, he doesn't even have to go very far for this one. Just give him slightly a little bit more bags under his eyes and he's there.
He's ready to rock and roll. I love it. Well, and that's the thing, like going in here, I mean, this did taint slightly, I'll say, Johnny Depp's image. But honestly, like watching like clips from the trial and stuff like that, is anybody really surprised that he parties a lot and likes to do drugs and gets a little wild or what have you?
No, he's a fucking guitar player in a metal band.
Yeah.
And he takes the craziest damn acting roles ever. Covered in tattoos. He's a crazy guy.
Dude, he was like really close friends and also spent millions of dollars to make sure Hunter S. Thompson had his exit from life, because he had his ashes catapulted into space or whatever in that gonzo fist. Like Johnny Depp paid for all that shit. You don't hang out with Hunter S. Thompson and become buddies with that guy and not do a little bit of wild stuff, here and there. I mean, that just goes without saying. So my point is here is like what came out in the trial about Johnny Depp was like, okay, slightly shocking to like some Bible thumpers in Alabama, what have you, but not really going to move the needle with me or anybody else. I think that knows like kind of a little bit more about this guy's crowd that he's been surrounding himself in. On the flip side, though, Amber Heard, I mean, she came into this, thinking again, I think it was enter crazy broad, thinking that she could actually fucking win this thing, because who the fuck is Amber Heard besides a pretty face that without her pretty face seems like a really shitty person, like all in all. I think there was people that attested to that as well. And then like just the joke that we made earlier in the show here and that we made before and that so many people are making, Amber Turd, the whole story about her shitting on somebody's bed, not using the bathroom for defecating. That's pretty monumental.
And she didn't even sell it. Like, what?
Oh, Bob, man, would have been a perfect segue here to our other crazy broad. Am I right here or what? But, so I mean, that was one thing. And then like what, cutting off like his fucking finger and other shit with like a
Yeah,
broken
well, she
bottle.
she didn't cut it off. She just threw a bottle at him. I guess it broke, and that like sliced his finger like beyond repair, right? So I don't think she actually like cut it off, but still, the domestic violence of it all, it's irrelevant, right? She's crazy enough to be throwing fucking bottles at people.
Well, and here's the other thing too. It's one thing if you're writing this op-ed in 2018 and you are like a crystal clear, zero kind of history of being nutty at all, no physical violence in your history, all that kind of stuff. Then all of a sudden, Johnny Depp has something to worry about. You know what I mean? If this is like this cookie cutter, like housewife, just like submissive, like again, just like the polar opposite of what everybody like figured out that Amber Heard is, then all of a sudden he could lose this case. But she like tries to kick up dirt on Johnny Depp and has like way more dirt like on herself. It's just, call it like, dude, this is like the epitome of like the pot calling the kettle black. You know what I mean? And I think that's exactly what happened. And she's done. I think she's done. Not only is she done, she's got to come up with $15 million. Now, granted, she's got to come up with 12.
I think I think it's like 10 or even 8 or something is the net, because she did win a little bit on her counterclaim.
Yeah.
And I don't know who like
that was her participation trophy. Yeah. Like, look, thanks for coming out. We're gonna give you a few million just because you look good when you did it. You know what I mean?
I have a question. So
okay,
before this trial, did anyone ever think of Amber Heard as this crazy, like moving her panties to the side while she shit on a bed person? No, she was fairly good image, right? Like no one. Internet's unstable. Well, we're still good here. Am I frozen?
Yeah, I couldn't really hear anything that you said either.
Okay. So before this trial, I never really heard of anything that was like she's a crazy broad.
Yeah,
right? She's got a bad reputation. I mean, here and there you kind of hear the stories, but not since before she got with Johnny Depp. So I want to know what's going through her head when she decided to like go ahead and see this trial, like in trial, like with a jury, and how that was going to work out. It's like, did she not realize that everyone's about to find out like all the shit and all of her crazy that's gone on lately? Because how did she think she was ever going to make it out of this trial?
I can't answer that logically. Is probably my best answer to that. Is this is where enter the crazy broad. I think she delusionally believed that she could win this, and I honestly think that she believes that she's right. You know what I mean? I don't know if she even can view herself and analyze like what she's actually been doing like her life. So I think she's one of those people where you hardly ever like try to fix something if you don't think it's broken, right? There's that.
Well, and do you think that it might be one of those instances where inside her head, she's victimized herself so much that to justify her own actions, that she actually believes that own victimization and that things actually happened? Now, not to say that nothing happened. Obviously, there are some altercations that went down. I don't think any of them were as bad as she was claiming that they were. Because she just, for someone that had an odd amount of recording your partner, like in what they were saying, just in general with conversations, it's strange that she didn't have any material that was actually like proof of wrongdoing outside of, him just being an asshole.
But she was fishing for it, right? I mean, when you constantly record conversations with your significant other, you're typically not doing that altruistically. You know what I mean?
You're saving data for court.
Exactly. You're trying to gather up just a stack of evidence that you'll think you'll get, and just keep feeding Johnny Depp booze and cocaine, and eventually he will beat the shit out of me.
I did love all the random stills of him passed out in various like positions and places. And I was like, that's so Johnny Depp. Look at that shit. He's passed out face down in the side of a hotel room. Look, I think he's passed out in an elevator. Did you get in there awake? How are you passed out now?
I love that. They should actually compile all those and do like a kind of like like a centerfold type deal or whatever, and just have like
I'd buy
a
that
whole,
calendar.
oh,
It's all
100%.
March. Johnny Depp's in his own vomit, like in the bathroom. Like, yeah, fucking March.
March kicks ass. That's great. Oh, well, again, tough times here, but like you already said, it looks like old Depp is already back. I mean, Beetlejuice, that's phenomenal right there. So good for
Now,
him.
I haven't verified that source, so I mean, I could be wrong. I'm gonna
Mhm.
caveat that announcement with I could be wrong because I did see that on a Facebook post, but it didn't look like any sort of spoof. It looked like a literal, like he's actually landed the first deal post trial. So I was like, that's pretty cool because I did hear there's been murmurs about a new Beetlejuice coming out for a while,
Yeah, I've
and
heard that for a couple of years now. Yeah.
yeah, and so if Johnny Depp's going to be the guy, that's just going to be awesome. I think he's going to do it justice.
Mhm. Well, again, so far in our conversation, crazy broads 0-1. You know what I mean? But we're about to tie that up with Stephanie Matto. Stephanie Matto is definitely a big winner. She's still a crazy broad, but this is actually a stiff truth update. So could I maybe there it is. I was just gonna ask for some cheesy update music. But yes, if everybody does remember, Stephanie Matto is an ex reality star for 90 Day Fiance, and she was the young entrepreneur or fartpreneur that we spoke about a couple of months ago, I think. That was just had a very nice enterprise going with flatulence and was selling farts in a jar and making a hefty amount of money doing it, more than I'll probably see on a monthly basis. This is for sure.
I would like to break in and explain what a fartpreneur is.
Oh, please go ahead.
For those of you that are on the YouTube or would like to watch the YouTube, you can see it in my background, but a fartpreneur. It's a fartrepreneur. It's a noun.
Sounding it out.
Creating active revenue streams from one's own flatulence.
Mm-hmm.
Also using human gas with a spirit of business purpose.
The spirit.
If I could use it in a sentence, after my 20th fart sale, I declared myself a fartrepreneur.
Oh.
Synonyms: a fart hustler, a gas master salesman, or an ass blasting merchant of death.
Ooh, that sounds like my new metal band right there. You know what I'm saying?
Entrepreneur, noun, new English slang going into the Urban Dictionary.
Bob, I want to thank you so much for breaking that down for everybody, because I just kind of casually rolled out some brand new vocabulary that probably a lot of people didn't know what the fuck I was talking about, and you literally educated everybody on that.
I can't take the credit. The credit goes to Stephanie Matto. She is the original fartpreneur.
This is true. But, well, as everybody knows, if they've listened to episodes of past, she had to put a halt on this very lucrative business of hers with selling her farts, because her diet of yogurt, beans, and hard-boiled eggs constantly created such a ferocious gas bubble that she had a heart attack scare at the hospital in January of this year and decided to hang up her farts. I'm not sure where I was going to go with that, but you know what I mean. She stopped farting in fucking jars is what she quit doing, dude. You know what I mean?
She did. Unfortunately, but that did not stop her spirit of and her ingenuity.
True, because as anybody does that doesn't have a lick of talent, like of any kind, she's like, what else can I do? I made a shitload of money selling my farts. Oh, you know what? I'm starting to get sweaty as spring is turning into summer. You know what? Enter her new gig here. And what she's doing now is she's selling her boob sweat. Bob, give us some details here on how she's doing this, because I hear now she's being a little bit more careful about how she's going to roll this out, because she wants to make sure she doesn't hurt herself, that this can be a sustainable, safe business. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, first of all, I'd like to give some credit to that viralfeed.com.
There we go. Shout out.
That's where this article came from. And it was posted by Elena in Lifestyle on the 31st of May, 2022.
All right, Elena, not a crazy broad. I don't think. Maybe she isn't. She's
with writing like this, Pulitzer bound, Elena.
Jesus Christ. We just give credit, and then we just
so that's where a lot of this comes from, right? But now I'm going to quote a little bit from the magazine just because it's funny.
Please do.
The self-proclaimed fartrepreneur chose
There
a
it
high
is.
fiber diet of beans and eggs, which didn't sit well with her stomach and resulted in chest pains caused by excess gas, as Scott explained earlier.
There it is.
We're going to go down a little bit further. If the sun shines, she claims to be able to fill 10 bottles of boob sweat jars in a single day that she then sells for $500 each. So up to $5K a day. Get right the fuck out of here.
Now, I'm thinking about scalability here. Okay. And I'm thinking about my own personal sweat. I'm going to have to pump the brakes a little bit here and really just understand, how is she fucking sweating so much? She's filling that weight. I don't know the size of these jars, but filling any kind of jar, regardless of the size, with pure sweat, that's a lot of sweat, bro.
I don't know. I could get a few dozen milliliters of ball sweat if someone wants to give me $500. That's a challenge. That's a
light bulb challenge accepted. Like, what's Bob doing again?
Well, that's the beauty of the entrepreneurship, Scott, is she's going to reach maximum volume, and then she's going to have a supply side issue, which is going to elevate prices. Eventually, this boob sweat has no limit of how much it can cost.
So I go to your house. I'm like, I asked Jess, I'm like, where's Bob? I go, he's outside working. I peek outside. You're like running in place wearing corduroy pants
by the pool. hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just making a few ends meet here. No problem. I got time to talk.
Hey, man, I got break in about 20 minutes if you just want to hang out.
Can you hand me that jar? Thanks, bud.
Oh, so anyways, yes, getting into this now. Tell me a little bit more about her safety behind here, because I think they speak to that as well, because she is right now, she's doing well. I mean, she's got her process down, right? She's selling a lot of boob sweat, but if she learned any lesson from last time, is when you scale this up and really try to meet demand, that's when you could potentially send yourself to the hospital, and you don't want to do that. Fool me once, you know what I mean? So
she's very self-conscious about her safety.
Good. That's good.
She has learned a lesson, right? So first she says, I also have a great set of breasts, and smelling the sweat, licking the sweat would bring fans as close as they can to get to them. So that makes sense about why she's doing it. Sometimes it can vary how long it takes to fill up a jar, as it depends on several scientific factors, mainly the heat, movement, and how hydrated I am. So on that note, I try to drink a lot of water and sit as much in direct sunlight as I can.
I don't know what just happened, Bob, but as soon as you said scientific, I got a mental image of like Bill Nye with like a pointer, like pointing out like shit on her body.
She's got like a white overcoat on and nothing else. She's just like, except for her cup underneath her boob, trying to get some sweat. She says she likes to call herself the human maple tree.
Oh, my goodness.
And the boob sweat, her sap. I sit there and collect my sap the same way a maple tree does.
She sits there and collects her sap for saps that want to pay $500 a piece. There it is right there, my friend. So there it is.
She's trying to practice this craft as safely as possible.
Oh, God bless her.
With a proper SPF moisturizer.
Very good.
However, after this week, she's learned that a simple SPF 30 won't be cutting it, since she did burn her chest quite badly.
Oh, my Jesus Christ. You know what, girl, we've talked about this prior stuff starting the show. Whatever your SPF is inconsequential. First thing first, you need to make sure that's broad spectrum sunscreen is what you need to do. And then we probably want to at least go with a 50 here. Am I right? Especially if you're going to be sitting outside all day. Now, here's the other thing. She says she spends hours at a time outside sitting by her pool in the backyard. That doesn't sound healthy. It doesn't sound healthy at all, even with all the sunscreen you can possibly find.
All she's got to do is put the Peloton or Nordic track to like a 3 or 4% grade, throw some sweatpants on, and she'll cut her productivity time down in half.
I mean, here's what I'm thinking. Just like a, like an oil man or something like that. Once you realize there's value, there's liquid gold underneath her ample bosom, wouldn't you like start excavating in other areas of the body that could potentially be fruitful as well? I mean, there's ass sweat. There's definitely vag sweat we could be doing here. Shit, she could be wearing like big, like fluffy, fuzzy like slippers and collecting her feet sweat as well. I mean,
Just have all these funnels and tubes hooked up to different places. There's like 5 tubes coming out of her, and she's on the treadmill hoofing it. They're all going to different label jars.
Yeah, she looks like some crazy, like some victim on Hellraiser or something like that at this point. My goodness. Well, I mean, again, right. Look, we talked about this too. I wouldn't be a purchaser. I'm going to sit here and say it right now. After seeing her multiple times, I do agree. She's got some great tits. Fantastic job. Well done. But I wouldn't be purchasing any kind of byproduct from her body ever. I just don't see any value in that at all. However, I'm apparently not like a lot of people, and there's a lot of money to be made here. So I really think she's doing herself a disservice with just going with the boob sweat. In fact, hear me out, Bob. What if she does this? She wears sweatpants, she wears a hoodie, and sits in a fucking sauna and just collects her entire body sweat. And then honestly, she can start telling people like, this is from there, this is from here, whatever. You're never going to know, and sell it that way. You know?
Yeah, just spray it with a little bit of body spray and move on.
All right, there you go, dude. You could spray like, what are those candles made by she makes the vag candles.
The Yankee candles.
Oh, Gwyneth Paltrow has her own candles like that, supposedly smell like her vagina or something like that. I don't know how that even makes sense, but I'm not very educated on this, so I'm probably going to go ahead and give myself a hard stop here and get back to our girl Maddo, so to speak.
It smells like lemon and dust.
Oh my god. Oh Jesus. Oh my god. Well, no, I mean, again, I'm very proud that she's back on top right now, because like you were saying, what is she making, about $5,000 a week?
$5,000 a day.
And
that's if she gets 10 bottles. But I would imagine that she probably has unlimited funding as far as purchasing, and there's just an unlimited back order. And it's just really how much she can produce, I would imagine. She's pretty famous and has a pretty good following, and there's a lot of creepy dudes out there.
Yeah, obviously, that's an understatement, dude. I think from somebody like this, having this kind of business to be lucrative and to be sustainable, ongoing, we've underestimated the amount of creepy dudes out there. So much so that I am even more stressed out.
I would
suddenly.
never do it. It's
hey, what is that? For anybody that doesn't know, Bob just pulled out a vagina scented candle that he has above his desk that he taps for good luck. Apparently, look at this guy. Both of these nuts, very
for sale,
very
$20.99 a jar.
Well, and somebody on Instagram did have a good comment here. Somebody was surprised that this girl is not selling her organs. Now, I can imagine that if she gets hard up, and she realizes she doesn't have any other talents, outside of what she's doing now, maybe that's the final step or whatever. But let's not get too dark here. You know what I mean? Like, I think she's doing good staying with renewable renewable product that she can continue to produce. So good for her there. Very proud of her, though. Again, say what you will, and we can sit here and clown her all day, but she is laughing all the way to the bank. That's for
now.
Sure.
I'm not clowning. I think it's great. I like the mindset. I like that. Cool. She's thinking like a rich person. She's not working for money. She's letting her money work for her.
Goddamn right. Goddamn right, Bob. And on that note, I'm going to have myself another slam of a crazy broad, because we just now have given honor to 2 of them. Honor, we've talked about 2. We've given 1 honor.
Yeah, I know. They're definitely different flavors of crazy broads.
True. And you see, crazy broad is not necessarily an insult. Okay. Just like you're a crazy guy. You know what I mean? If you're a crazy broad, that could be very bad, hamper turd style, or you could be just very innovative and have a lot of that fartrepreneur gusto like Stephanie Maddo. So I'm glad we were able to have that conversation today.
I'm just welcome back to the stiff truth, Stephanie. It's always a pleasure to have you in the headlines.
It really is, Bob. And Bob, I feel here we gotta take a turn here a little bit here. And don't get me wrong, conversation's been fun. We definitely wanted to talk about something that's been in the headlines here. Not specifically about the incident, but unless you're living under a giant rock, or maybe you're just purchasing way too much boob sweat from Stephanie here, you haven't heard that there's been, not only at Robb Elementary, but there's been, I think, like 2 or 3 more mass shootings here in the past couple of weeks. Am I correct? I mean, we just had one, I think, yesterday in Philadelphia. It's fucking nutty. But the reason I'm bringing this up here, and the reason we want to talk about this is, of course, every time this does happen, it's gut wrenching. It's extremely sad. My heart goes out to the families and all these kids. But at the end of the day, something has to happen. Some action has to happen. So, of course, you have politicians on both sides of the aisle right now that are discussing what we're going to do with guns, what we're going to do with people's access to guns, and what needs to be done to do something to hopefully curb and start correcting this sickness, I'll just say, that we have in American culture. And I'll start up by saying this. I know that if you're on the right, you're like, it's all about mental wellness. It's all about the foundation of the family. That's great. They still don't like offer up any kind of real plans on how they're going to fix mental health or the foundation of the family. And then, of course, if you're on the left, it's a knee jerk, just take all the guns away from everybody. And then, of course, you've got everybody, of course, they want their guns. So it does make sense that both of those arguments really don't solve a problem, Bob. So I'm just going to leave it there after I set the scene here, and give me your initial thoughts on what's going on here in the country.
Well, we've talked offline a couple of times about this topic in the last week or so. And both times this particular thing came up, that Scott and I are born in the early 80s. We are, we are the elder millennials of the crew, but we grew up in a time where assault rifles were something we saw on TV. That was something that Rambo had, right? That was not like a thing. That was a military thing, and we cheered. The only assault rifles we ever had an orange tip at the end, and we'd be playing fucking war in the yard or whatever, In 1994, assault rifles were banned, outright, just in any form, right? So you just couldn't get anything like that. It pretty much ended at hunting rifles, long distance shooting. There's shotguns, handguns, whatever, stuff that you could use to protect your home or go hunting or use for sport. And then in 2005, Bush had signed off on reversing the ban on assault rifles, which coincidentally, that original ban in 94 was drafted by none other than old Sleepy Joe. Wow. Joe Biden did write the original ban on assault rifles back in the day.
Can I just say this finally? Because we used to clown Joe Biden about, claiming that he invented everything and that he did everything. He actually did do this.
He probably just signed it off when the dude finished writing it. He's just like, I'm gonna take that. Thanks, guy. That's fine. So he actually gave a speech a few days ago that was pretty in line with classic Joe Biden's thought on guns. He's really never wavered on this. Give any politician credit for holding the same position for any length of time, but he still said the same thing. He asked the Senate and Congress for 4 things. He said, first, outright, not even mincing words, I want a ban on assault rifles outright, no more. I want them gone again. And then after I looked it up, I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. He's always wanted them gone. He in fact got them gone. Right. So that makes sense. He wants the red flag laws introduced, which is a popular thing, bipartisan issue that's been brought up by a lot of people on both sides of the aisle. And red flag laws are really strange that it's bipartisan, because it really goes against that whole true Second Amendment freedom, right? And the slippery slope of the red flag law. In theory, it's a great idea. Mm-hmm. It's if someone's exhibiting some mental health issues or a traumatic time in their life, and they feel someone thinks that they might harm themselves or others, they can report that. The cops then come and take all of their guns away.
Yes. And the problem is, in the slippery slope there is the definition of that behavior, right? So essentially you could have somebody's guns taken away just because you cried wolf about that. And again, I understand that, you know what I mean? That definitely is so much up to interpretation, and there's so much gray area there. that I understand why that's a tough one. I do understand.
And then, if I remember correctly, Florida does have red flag laws that were put in place last year.
I would hope so. They need those kind of laws in Florida.
So the red flag, he asked for the red flag laws, which should be an easy win.
Yeah.
That's something that both sides of the aisle can go ahead and get passed. If it's just standalone, I think they'll both agree on it. I don't think it'll even get filibustered. I think there's more than 10 Republicans that'll actually vote for that and get that passed. So that's kind of an easy one. The other one, he said, let's make it illegal for anyone under 21 to buy any guns.
I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this.
So there's that one. I'll get to my thoughts on all of it in a minute.
Yeah, for sure.
So I doubt he'll get that one done. I think that'll get filibustered. But then the last one was what was it? Red flag laws, 21 age limit, no assault rifles. Oh, the last one was to release the civil liability laws and enforce gun secure laws. So in other words, I have some guns in the house. I keep them in safes, yada, yada. If I were to let them out and one of my kids took the gun away and hurt somebody, Biden wants then me to be civilly liable for the wrongful death. I don't think that's a bad idea personally, but that's what he's asking for is the civil liability laws for the gun owner if they let their guns fall into other people's hands from not securing them. So there's four main things he was asking. The biggest one that's probably never going to happen is let's ban the assault rifles. Now,
okay.
If you want my thoughts on all of these, red flag laws, it seems pretty obvious. It is a slippery slope, but it does seem pretty obvious. Assault rifle ban, I'm all for that. We probably don't need them.
Well, you don't need an assault rifle to protect yourself and yours. I mean, and you don't need one to hunt. They're not necessary for what the Second Amendment's for. Now, I understand the flip side of that too. Like, well, we should be able to have whatever kind of weapon we want. Okay, cool. But we've had over 200 and some odd like mass shootings this year. We've proven as a society that we just can't have whatever we want. Something's got to give. So that's kind of my feedback there, but sorry to interrupt.
Well, and we could rewind it back to our previous show when we talked about gun responsibility. And that was when I said, if you should be able to buy a fucking tank if you have the money and you can prove that you're psychologically stable enough to have one. Right. Same thing. It should be so incredibly hard that if you want something like an assault rifle or higher class of gun, a bazooka,
or a tank,
whatever the fuck, or a tank, or a fucking Tomcat, whatever the fuck, F-35 million, whatever fucking jet plane you want, as long as you can prove and then go through all this bureaucratic red tape and mental evaluations, and it's a very expensive, tedious process. And if you're willing to do all that, then you can definitely have it, because that's a lot of investment. I see it no different than an art collector collecting art, as if a weapons collector collecting weapons like that, as long as they can keep proving that they're fucking sane and they can afford it. So
that makes sense.
That's my feelings on that. I don't really think we need assault rifles. And if you do, I think that the qualifications to get them should be greatly increased so that they don't fall into psychos' hands. Right.
Yeah, 100%.
And then I think there should be background checks on any weapon sale at all for any reason.
Yeah,
just going to say that. It took me 2 weeks to get my handgun, and I'm really jaded that this 18-year-old in Texas went and got an assault rifle the same day. That pisses me off because I had to wait 2 weeks to get my fucking pistol, and I'm a pretty upstanding citizen. So beyond that,
true. This is true.
The civil liability laws, I think that's going to force two things. People are going to lock up their shit, or people are going to get rid of their guns. They're going to mitigate that risk one way or the other. And if you know your kid's a little bit crazy, you're just not want to deal with the headache. You're just going to get rid of the gun. Right?
Or you may say, you know what? I just believe in guns so much, but I'm gonna make doubly sure that my kid understands gun responsibility, and I'm personally gonna make sure I feel comfortable and vet my kid to see if I should keep my guns or not. Again, there will be more steps taken by gun owners to, by the best of their ability, ensure their guns are not going to do something stupid on their behalf. You know what I mean? So there's that motivation I see. So again, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and the 21-year-old thing, 100%. I have no problem with that. If your under 21-year-old person wants to go hunting with you, then let's just make it a thing where you can't buy guns for under 21, but you can possess them if you're in the company of the owner.
if you're in a company with a registered gun owner, you know what I mean?
Then you're good.
Absolutely.
Right. If
absolutely.
if it's their gun and you have it, you're still good. Whatever. If you're
Yeah.
hunting together, you're still good. If you're out sport shooting together, you're still good. But you actually can't go buy them and become that person that hosts the gun shooting party until you're over 21 at that point. Because let's be honest, I see a lot of things in the media about, oh, it's not a 20-year-old white male thing. No, but it's definitely a 20-year-old male thing. 100 fucking percent. And you can't even argue that. So let's just eliminate some of that equation and just say, hey, look, there's not going to be near as many 18 to 21 year olds or 18 to 20 year olds having mass shootings, because we're just simply going to make it really hard for them to get their hands on a gun and then penalize other people if they actually do let them have guns.
Absolutely. 100%. And we talked about this before too. There's a lot of, and the only one that I can struggle with a little bit, because I know they need able bodies, is going to war at 18. But outside of that, because that's another conversation.
Hey,
if you can't,
maybe active military gets a bypass.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like there's an exception there. But look, if you can't go into a bar and order a drink for yourself, you should not be able to purchase a weapon that can kill one or many people very quickly. I mean, that just makes sense to me. If we can't trust somebody to have a sip of a beer on their own legally, then what the fuck are we doing allowing them to have a deadly weapon in their hands? That to me is kind of a no-brainer. Like, why there's a difference right there, I think only is because you have active military at 18 years of age. You know what I mean? And maybe that was kind of what was overlooked or what was used as an excuse for gun ownership at that age. It's just not necessary. And the other thing I think about is this. I think about myself from 18 to 20 years old and how mature I was. Now, granted, I'm not going to go out and kill people or whatever. But again, the whole point of me saying this is there's no way in hell now that I can look back at myself and have the ability of hindsight and say, you know what? It's fine, dude. I had all my capabilities. I was very mature. I had all my shit. Bullshit. In fact, I could argue that I didn't have my shit together until my mid to late 20s.
Or even I would say the ability to control an irrational anger, especially if intoxicated, is much greatly improved after 21.
Yeah. After 25, 26. I mean, yeah.
Really, it is later, but I'm willing to make some concessions. You know, Scott, I think there's concessions that can be made. Me and you have talked a lot about the spirit of compromise has been gone in politics a lot. It's my way or the highway. And it's almost like the left and their gun responsibility laws that they're trying to push are so fucking out there that they know there's no chance on passing them. And it's almost like it's done on purpose. Maybe they get funding from the NRA also, but it is like they're pushing it out there in a way that there's no chance on it passing. And then also on the very right, they're like, well, let's not do anything. Everything will work itself out. Essentially, let's focus on mental health. Well, what's the plan?
Exactly. So let's not do anything, but focus on stuff we're never going to even offer up a solid plan to do anything about, like mental health and building the foundation of the family. You're like, dude, you're trying to like bring back the nuclear family from the 1950s. Like, how are you going to do that? Right. How are you going to repair fatherless homes? How are you going to do this? There's just a bunch of empty rhetoric there, but you're right too. On the left, take our boy here, Mondaire Jones. I mean, this is not helping anything, right? You already have, let's face it, before all this shit about gun responsibility, you literally have Republicans and Democrats at each other's throat around everything, the dividing line and the separation.
Everything.
Yeah, it's all over the place. And then we got Mondaire Jones. God bless his soul, the young kid of 35 here, but just to twist the knife a little bit and make sure that any potential moderates or independents that could potentially be on board with sensible gun responsibility, he wants to make sure to fucking blacklist their support right out of the gate by saying what, Bob? What did he say? Do you remember?
He said that basically, Constitution be damned. If you don't want
I like when a U.S. congressman starts with that. Supreme Court Constitution be damned.
If you don't like it and you don't vote for it, we're going to pack the court with pro-gun control judges, which I would say pro-gun responsibility judges, and get rid of the filibuster and pass our laws and just kind of F the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court has ebb and flowed with its numbers over the year, but this isn't where you draw the line in the sand.
No.
Now, this guy is passing it's just dangerous rhetoric, and it's not helpful, and it's not going to get any bipartisan votes. I think the best approach here. Now, I don't have all the answers, but let me fix it.
Right. Right.
So the best approach here is to keep the filibuster, because it does keep people in check from fucking destroying the country.
And not only that, let's just face it, filibuster kind of sounds like Ghostbusters, and I like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool sounding. So I think the best thing to do is give some concessions. You know,
wait. Are we talking like a Chicago dog and like some nachos, or what kind of concessions are we
talking common sense legislative approach here with a bipartisan effort to get legislation passed.
Wow, that sounds way more delicious than my foot-long hot dog I was about to
chow down. So let's just say, so Lindsey Graham suggests that military veterans should be stationed at schools. I actually talked to my wife about this idea, and I said,
imagine that Lindsey Graham wants the military to be somewhere.
Well,
what a surprise. I'm just saying, it was kind of funny.
Let's hear him out, right?
Okay, sorry.
At least he's willing to put his money where his mouth is, right? It's not gun control, it's school security that we need to focus on. Okay, you're kind of right there. I think it's both fronts, right? But personally, hey, at least he's willing to admit there is something that can be done there. Cool. Let's go ahead and get active duty fucking military at all schools. Let's say a minimum squad of 4 at every fucking state funded, federally funded, educationally board recognized fucking school. Let's say there are 4 actual Marines that are at every school, and it's an honor to have that job. You're going to learn how to fucking take care of school shootings and lockdowns and all this shit. And we're going to actually send you there. It's going to cost some money. There's a lot of fucking schools. We're talking millions of troops, right? And
I was just about to say that if something happens around the world, like who are we gonna deploy?
It would be increasing our defense presence.
Yeah,
like doubling our forces essentially for domestic threats. Now it would work. It would be fucking expensive, but it would work. So if you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, I can respect that. I say let's give some concessions. Maybe we start targeting, let's start off with elementary schools or whatever, beefing up the security at high schools physically, but then actually putting rotating patrols in elementary school or something like that. Sure. Active duty. Okay, but then give me concessions on the other side. Raise the age limit to 21 if you won't get rid of assault rifles.
And that seems feasible.
Let's do the red flag laws, which we both want, and then raise the age, and then we'll work on your fucking military presence there. Boom, let's get some laws passed. But they're not going to do that, are they, Scott?
No, they're not going to do that, because that would be trying to actually get something done, despite themselves. Right. And that's just not going to happen, bro, because again, we talked about this before too. They have to put on their show so much to their extreme bases that they lose sight in what can actually be like reality and what they can do. They can do a lot right now. And again, I told you this, I think earlier today or yesterday, watching like politicians debate this is fucking super frustrating, dude. Not only is it glaring that there's a fucking problem, that there's multiple problems with just our society right now. And yes, I'm going to say it right now. It's not all guns. Guns is not necessarily the issue here. They are an easy tool to carry out the byproduct of some of this issue, though, which again, but to hear these guys talk in circles and constantly give the same narratives and rhetoric back and forth, it's just, dude, it hurts. It hurts my heart, bro. I'm going to say that. You know what I mean? Because again, is this going to get done? Is anything going to get done? I wonder. I really do.
I don't know. I know there's a huge dog and pony show. They're really like, well, we're holding bipartisan talks. Mitch McConnell's like, oh, we're really trying to do something. But to be a fly on the wall, I mean, do they really want to get anything done?
I don't know.
I mean, in the bottom line, if they don't get anything done, is it going to affect whether they get reelected or not?
Oh, I think so. I mean, regardless if it's this issue, there's other issues. I mean, right now, again, we've talked about this before. We're looking at a hardcore pendulum swing when it comes up to midterms. I think a lot of Democratic people are going to be losing their seats. And it's just because, not because I agree with it. It's just because we've gone one direction a little bit too far, and you felt the pain of going too far. And now we're going to go the other direction where that's not quite right either, but we have to go really far to kind of meet in the middle, which we will probably in about 4 years. And then we're going to swing the other way. It's a nasty cycle, dude. And it's like, it's comical because it's right on cue right now. The cycle is happening.
It's been going on since like the 70s, like clockwork.
It's true.
Everyone's
really
like, no, things have changed. Really? Go look at voting results at midterms and election years, and go look at legislation passed. Go look. You don't have to take our word for it. Just go do some research and look at the midterms and look at everything. Everyone says, oh, the boomers this and boomers that. They fucking cause all these problems. But in the end, we act just like them, even though we bitch about them.
No,
what has changed?
We use them as a model, right? We literally have like followed right in their footsteps with how we act politically and socially in this world. And I think that's one of the problems, man, without harping on it too much here. I mean, we've just got a culture of violence and hatred, like through and through. And we've got some really sick little fucks that are desensitized from reality and humility, right? And I think that's a lot of these people that are going out there and killing a lot of people, thinking somebody's going to give a fuck. Like, I'm not even going to mention any of the mass shooters because they don't fucking deserve to have their names uttered again. They're pieces of fucking shit. And something as simple that you had mentioned and I had mentioned multiple times on this show is something as simple as the language that you use could really make a big difference. And we talked about this multiple times, but gun control is not gonna blow anybody's skirt up, especially you. I mean, other things will blow your skirt up. I mean, I do it a lot, but if they could literally just reframe this, just like defunding the police to reform the police, to what we've been talking about, gun responsibility, doesn't that make a lot more sense for everybody? Doesn't everybody want to say that we should have people be very responsible carrying and being in control of deadly weapons? I mean, that seems we all like a fucking no-brainer.
Responsible gun owners, Scott.
Exactly. And anybody that tells you they don't want to be a responsible gun owner, well,
it's a red flag law.
Karate chop, you fucking god. Exactly, man. Exactly. Well, just like every time we talk, Bob, I feel that we've solved a lot of problems, or we hopefully, at least all kidding aside, have kind of trickled in a little bit of thought for everybody else out there that's a little bit frustrated now that maybe's got their hands up like we do. You know what I mean? Like, because there's a large element right now when I watch the news, like, I don't know what to fucking say, man. There's a slice of me that doesn't really like where it is right now that America is and where we're going. And quite frankly, too, I was talking to my father yesterday. I'm very proud to be an American, but I'm probably going to be the last person to jump out of my seat if I was overseas to be like, I'm from America. You know what I mean? That's kind of where we're at right now, dude. It's a sad set of tits where we're at. Not like Stephanie Mattos.
No, that's a sad set of lucrative tits. I'll tell you that. It's actually not. It's a pretty great set. So good for you, Stephanie.
Well, Bob, I'll tell you what, my friend. Great conversation. Hopefully people get some takeaways here, because on top of learning the pros and cons of crazy broads, I think it's very important that everybody understands just the weight and gravity of gun responsibility. And honestly, where you're at on what side of the aisle here, I mean, especially if you're a politician right now, could really dictate if you're going to be a politician much longer. You know what I mean? So
100%. And Stephanie, you don't have to actually be outside in a bikini to make boobs sweat. It's movie magic. Just send them a picture of you in a bikini and go inside and handle your business in the sweatpants.
Yeah.
Come on.
Sweatpants, sweatshirt, sauna, handled business. You know what I mean? And like I was saying, if she wants to wear a corduroy jumpsuit and do jumping jacks, I might pay for that. You know what I mean? Just the video
She's
of
got
that.
Plastics on like a boxer trying to hit weight. Oh, anyway, well, what a great show, man. That's all I got. I know we're out of time. We're up against it, but it's been fun. Enjoyed our time off. I enjoyed our time together. That was super fun.
Great seeing you, my friend. Great seeing you. We're going to have to do it again real soon. Well, yes. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us again for this show. As per usual, I'm not going to get nutty about it, but make sure you guys continue, as we always appreciate, checking us out on YouTube, liking and subscribing, rating us on the podcast. Patreon is awesome. If you guys can get in there and continue to help out, it just helps us make the show better for you and everybody else. And until next time, think about maybe using some body byproducts to make a little dough, especially if you're hard up. I'm just saying, you know, maybe shit in a box.
Work smart, not hard.
Yeah, there you go. So until next time, see you guys.
See ya.